Hi, I'm Ken with Across Country Kitchens, and in this video I'm going to show you how we install our face frame wall cabinets. Our wall cabinets come in two boxes. Our white box is your face frame and your door. Our brown box is the body of the cabinet itself and the hardware. So we're going to start first by opening up the box of the body of the cabinet. So basically you got all kinds of parts here, and what I do is I take panel, I'll set this side panel there, I will grab another side panel, I will set it there, I will kind of sort this out a little bit. This one here has a finished edge, so we know that's a shelf. We don't need that yet. We will set it over there, and here's another one. In our cabinets, doesn't matter if it's a 30-inch high wall cabinet or a 36-inch high wall cabinet or a 40-inch high wall cabinet. Only two shelves will come in your box. If you want three shelves in that 40-inch tall cabinet, which this one is, usually you want to have three shelves in it, so you will then order an extra shelf. Okay, so moving on, we have some other parts. This here part has an edge. As you can see, it has a reveal edge. This reveal edge has to face on the inside of your cabinet. And there's two of them, exactly the same, a top and a bottom. So we're just going to set them right here for now, out of our way. And now inside our little goodie box, we do have our hardware, which is pretty, it's locked in here somehow. There we go. Find that cut mark. Inside our box, we will have our hinges. There's 6 hinges for this. There'll be 3 for each door because this is a 27-inch wide wall cabinet. So there will be 2 doors. Wall cabinets, they range from 9 inches wide to 21 inches wide with only 1 door. The 2-door cabinets will range from 24 inches wide to 39 inches wide. We'll give you 2 doors per cabinet. Okay, so in here now is all our hinges, little bag of hardware. I just dump them inside the box. And basically you can see in here we have our cam locks, and we have some shelf clips and a bunch of sorted screws. These short screws I use for screwing on our hardware. These longer screws basically are for the back side of our cabinet to hold the box together as well as the cam locks. So basically now I like to take this and cut this lid off so I don't hit it and knock it off. Knock my stuff all over the place. So what you want to do is take your glue, and I usually put my glue in first. Well, I should show you one more thing as well. Here's your back panel for your cabinet. What you want to do, I'm going to show you our cam locks on here. I use a flathead screwdriver because it works a lot better. As you can see, you have a little star cam lock, and it'll have a minus sign and a plus sign on it. That minus sign and that plus sign you want facing that arrow to the edge of the cabinet itself. So basically, and usually I like to set them first right away. When they come in the box, you know, sometimes they are lined up within reason, sometimes they're out, but you want to try to get them lined up. Makes everything go together a lot easier for you. Having that arrow with the minus sign and the plus sign always going to your edges. So on your cam lock, what you want to do is it has a little kind of small point on it, and it has a minus sign on the left side and a plus sign on the right side. So that minus sign, that plus sign, you want at the top facing the edge of this cabinet back panel. Once that arrow is facing there, then your cams will go in the hole and line up properly for you, and then once everything's tightened in, and you turn and lock it in. Okay, now moving on, we're going to start putting this cabinet together for you. I'm just going to set that to the side for now. Get my screwdriver out of the way. Actually, we're going to need that, aren't we? So what I like to do is I put glue in all my grooves here, down that side. Basically, it's just about a 1/16 to an 1/8 bead of glue. You don't need too much because you don't want it squirting out all over the place. Sometimes it does get a little bit more, but we wipe it out. And when we wipe it out, I like to use a little damp rag. It makes it a lot easier. So basically, we got our glue in there. Now what we want to do is grab the rest of our cams, which are these black chromey dealies. So there's 3 on each edge here, so I'm going to grab 6 of them. So we're going to just put them in there. And now on these black cams here, I just want to show you is you can kind of see a little lip here. This little top lip, you don't want to push it in so it goes below the surface of this. I like to see that lip, that little tiny lip right here, I like to see it about a 1/16 above, if anything. Because if you get this pushed in too far, then when you stick your cam lock in there to turn it, this thing is so low it's not grabbing it, right? So you got to be careful there a little bit. Just don't push them in all the way. Just kind of just gently set them in there. Keep it up, you know, a small 1/2 a 1/16 or something like that is what I usually do. And it's not the end of the world if it goes in, but it just makes it easier if they lock nice for you. So you get them all set in. Now what I do is I grab my back panel. I already lined up my arrows that we discussed earlier. And we're going to set that first one in the hole. Get that pushed in there. And then the rest will go in a lot easier for you. Grab your screwdriver. You want to push down. And if there's a bit of a gap here, you just want to kind of shake it a little bit. Or you want to kind of wiggle this a little bit, and then it'll fall down for you. You want to turn it till it clicks. Again, push her down. Make sure you're tight all the way before you actually tighten them in. Turn it in till it clicks a bit. Sometimes they won't click, but you can tell when they're tight and when they're not. There you go. So that one's done. So what I do now is I'll just spin this around so the cameraman can see this. So now we're going to take the top panel and the bottom panel. So here's your panel here. Okay, now on the back side of the top and the bottom of this cabinet, there's 3 little holes. And that is for these little screws that are a little bit longer. They're about 1 1/8 long. So what you want to do now, again, as I showed you earlier, this edge here needs to be, this lip needs to be facing the inside of your cabinet. So the small part to the inside of your cabinet. So you want to set that into place. Line it up. And there's 3 screws that go on the back there, I believe. You want to grab your 3 screws is what I usually do. And push them in the holes. So what you need to do, now you can do this with a hand screwdriver, or you can do it with a cordless screwdriver. I like to use my cordless stuff. So what you want to do is make sure that is pushed in tight, flush here, all the way in. You want to make sure this is flush with here, okay? And I usually kind of push this in, grab this, and I kind of grip it and pull it in. So that way there's not a big gap you see on the inside of your cabinet. And then you want to put this screw in, give it a little cinch up. Do the same, kind of squeeze that together so everything's tight up. Do it again. So that's either your top or your bottom. It really doesn't matter at this time. Now you want to put your next one in. Didn't throw any glue on this back panel. So you don't need to see it, just gonna know you want to glue up there. Some people don't even put glue in there, but I prefer to see glue in there myself. Again, you want this lip facing the inside of your cabinet. Put your panel in there. Grab your screws, 2, 3. I usually try to get everything prepped before I even grab my drill, just makes it simpler for me. Make sure it's tight on the bottom, tight up there. Squish this in. Okay, so now what you want to do, just move that to the side. We already put glue in this panel. Just lift it up. Line your cam plugs with the holes. And you can see we're up here a little bit. It's not going down, right? And sometimes it's not lined up with the shelf here. So you want to move it around. Okay, that's not doing anything. If you take your cam and you just wiggle it a little bit, okay, sometimes that doesn't help either. And that's just kind of normal sometimes. So what happens is, right in here, you can kind of see it's not lined up. You want to give this a little bang here. There you go. So it just wasn't quite lined up. Now we're nice and flush here is what you want to look for. We're tight down here. Now you can tighten up your cam. This one over here. Okay, get that in there. Oh. There, I kind of got carried away. I'm kind of nervous on doing videos actually, but that's okay. Now we got our cabinet put together, and that don't matter. It chipped up there a little bit that you see, but you're not going to see that because that's the side of a cabinet. If this was the outside of a cabinet, there's always a finished panel that's going to be screwed on there anyhow. So there's no real damage done there that you have to worry about. So now you got your cabinet, flip her down. Now what you want to do is open up your secondary box, which is your face frame and your doors. I'm just going to quickly cut this open. And they have it wrapped up nice so it's protected with some foam there. Okay, so what you're going to do is you can take it out. You can set it over on another table, or I could have just done it over there for you. Bring it over here. Let's get glue put in on the channels. You want to go down this side here, all the way down. If it drops into that hole a little bit, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter if there's glue in there. If there is, if there isn't, it ain't going to matter one way or another. We were up. Wall cabinets, two-door wall cabinet should take approximately 15 minutes to put together. If you do enough of them, you can probably knock it down to about 7 minutes like I did a while back ago, but I haven't put cabinets together in a while, so I'm a little bit rusty. So we got that lined up. We're going to put our plugs in here, just like we did before to our box, our body, I should say, cabinet body. And there's not a top or a bottom to this either because it's a wall cabinet. Doesn't matter if it's this way or spun around this way here. It's exactly the same. This is a solid wood face frame. It's about 7/8 this way and about 1.25 inches this way. Solid wood. Makes a nice finished cabinet. Set her down, line up your holes, grab your screwdriver. And as you can see, I never set these, so just lift your frame up a little bit so they're lined up. You want to make sure they're in line before you start pushing them all down. There we go. And you can always look on this edge right here to tell if it's down all the way because it'll be tight. And once she's tight, you can snap your cam into place. Check it here. Make sure this whole side is down. Look over here. There's no gap. She's good. You can run around or you can just spin your cabinet around. Doesn't really matter. Don't knock your shelving off. And do the same thing. We're going to get our plus and minus sign facing up towards the edge of the body, which is towards the frame. Line them all up nice. There you go. Sometimes you got to wiggle it back and forth, play with it a little bit, and it'll go down for you. If they were really, really, really loose and too easy, that means they kind of cut everything really with lots of play, and you don't want lots of play. You want everything snug. So sometimes you got to play with it a little bit. Okay, there we go. We got our face frame on. We're just going to move these out of our way. So now what you want to do, flip her up on the edge. And I'm going to go and I'm going to grab one door. But what I want to do grab one door. I'm just going to set it here for now. Get this one over there. You want to grab a piece of this foam because, I mean, I got new carpet on here on my tables that I made, but it's always nice because you never know, a little piece of flake metal that could have broke off your cam or something could have landed down there, and you don't want it scratching up your door. Put your door down. I just like to set this one on top. There we go. I'm going to throw our hinges in. They just fit right inside these holes. It's already pre-drilled. There's holes pre-drilled for your screws to go into. And try to keep your hardware away from your door so you don't scratch it. And it'll be these shorter screws that come in your package. I like to grab a handful of them. And make it easier, you probably want to get a magnetic extension, which kind of helps when you're dealing with these little screws. But I'll always kind of have my finger here to guide it in. Kind of gives it a balance. Once you get used to your drill, you know how far to torque them. I've been doing this for quite a while, so my finger is accustomed to my drill already. There's also settings on some drills, so they only will go so far. Now, once you have them on there, what you want to do, it's very important to determine the top and the bottom of your cabinet. Some people don't do it because what they'll do is they will make this door flush with the bottom of your cabinet, which I don't like to do, for the reason why is when you come to your cabinet above your stove, you usually have a hood vent there or a microwave. So now, if you have your doors flush with the bottom of your cabinet, and sometimes when you open them, they scrape on the top of your hood vent or your microwave, and you don't want that to happen. So you want to make yourself a little jig, or you can eyeball it. I prefer a jig. I made myself a little jig. It's got a little groove in there, about 1/16 of an inch, and I set it on the side. So what I'll do is I will grab my marker, and I will mark top on my cabinet so I don't forget where my top is. So I'll just write top right there. So now we know the top. So now the installer knows the top too. It makes it easier for the installer. So now pick up your cabinet. Be careful when you set it down there. And you can see on the back, your hinges, they have a little stop ledge. So you know where to stop your cabinets. They just butt against the frame on your cabinet. You can see the ledge. You see that little lip there on the hinge? There you go. So that there will go tight towards the frame of your cabinet. So now what you want to do is you want to spend, I don't know, I can't remember what I paid for it, 10, 15, 20 bucks. You want to buy yourself a self-centered countersink drill bit, and this one is a 5/64 because you don't want it too big for your holes on your screws. What you want is get yourself a self-centered drill bit. So basically when this pushes in, the bit comes out, and basically it centers things up, because when you try to line up a screw in a center, you're never going to get it perfect. So you want to get a self-center. It's kind of around here, same size of the holes basically on your hinges and hardware. Your drill bit itself is a 5/64. That's the size you want, a 5/64. So basically what you do now is you take your jig, or you can eyeball it, depends on you. I like using jigs because it's more accurate. I will take my jig and I will slide it so this part is here and it's revealed out that way, which will keep the bottom of my door up from my cabinet about 1/16 of an inch. So I'll put that there. I will make sure all my pieces, them little lips I showed you on the hinges, are tight against your face frame. So this first one here is good. So what I'll do is I'll put pressure here so it doesn't move on me. I'll just set that to a side. I'll grab my center sink. Put one hole there, one hole there. So I will put them two screws in right away. I won't make them real tight at this point in time. I'll just get them started because it might have moved on me a little bit. I'll put my jig back in place. Make sure the top, because if your top is out, well, then it's going to throw this out over here like that. So you want to make sure that all of them are pushed in. Make sure that's set right. Okay, I'm happy there. Keep the pressure on it. Hang on to the hinge. It doesn't slide around on you. Whoop, wrong drill. And now you can tighten up these 2 screws. You can double check it. Everything looks fine. So now what you can do is come over to these other ones, because it's not going to move anywhere, and you can blast in these other holes. I like to put one, there's 4 holes on a hinge, 2 here and 2 here. You don't need to have that many screws in there. So basically what I do is I'll do one at the back and one at the front on each hinge, right? So one there, one there, and it don't matter which one is first. So one at the back, one at the front. If you want to put all 4 screws in, if that makes you feel better, you're more than welcome to. Okay, so now you know your holes lined up. Nice. All right, makes everything easier. See, because basically, if you pretend you don't got your hole drilled, and you get your screw, and you're like this, and and then you start it, and it's grab the piece of wood and it shift over that way, so now it's not centered for you. You always want it nice and centered in the hole, because in that slot there's a little bit so you can do some fine tuning once your cabinets are hung if necessary. Okay, so we're all done there. So what I do now too is you want to put on your bumper stoppers. So I'll put these on. I like to do that. I mean, some people will wait till they install their cabinet to check everything for lined up, but I like to do that right now as well too. So basically I'll need my Phillips screwdriver. I'll lift this up. Okay, now my bumper's on there. I can see the gap I got there. The gap on the bottom, I want the same, and it's not. They normally aren't, so I don't know why they don't send them hinges more adjustable. So I kind of made myself a jig for that, and just, I don't know, it's about 1/8 of an inch. You can, once you can kind of get one, make it yourself the same thickness that way. So there's a screw here that moves your hinges in and out, okay, and then this other screw moves your door in and out going the other direction. So this one here, I'll open it up. I'll stick my spacer in here. Tighten up the screw a little bit. Do it down here. I'll loosen it up so I can get my stick in there. Okay, double check this one. That one was so tight over there it kind of was on an angle. So there we go. So now what you can do, better get this one because you don't want it warped on you. There you go. So now you lift it up. You look down this edge, and you can see that the gap here is equal. That's what you want to see. So when you put your other cabinet beside it, your door faces line up on the front as well. So we got one done. Now you just flip her around. I'm just going to move my shelving out of the way, makes it easier. There you go. Get our hinges put on our other door. Same procedure. Stick them in the holes. The doors are pre-drilled with the little holes for your screws. Now, another thing that you can do is what I like to do is I will take my glue, because you know sometimes over time your doors, your drawers, everything gets used after a certain amount of time and things loosen up on you, and kind of prevent that from happening. If you put in a little drop of glue in each hole, I didn't do it on that first door because a lot of people will just do it that way. Nice sometimes to put that extra little bit in there. grab your screws. So after they dry, you know that screw's not going to really come out. It's just like I've been in construction myself for 42 years, building homes, renovations, all kinds of stuff. Back in 2014, I got into doing cabinets because I wanted something a little bit different, a little bit easier on the old body. But I used to hang a lot of pocket doors. Everybody knows what pocket doors are. And I fixed a lot of pocket doors in my days too, because you have bad installers, and that hardware is hard to get at. You basically got to take your casing off and everything else too. But when they put that hardware on the top of that door, you know, they'll drill the hole, they'll put the screw in there, they'll strip the screw, and the door will be fine for a week, a month, a year, who knows, right? And eventually it just falls right out. But if you drill the right size of hole for your screw to go in, put in some wood glue, right, or construction caulking glue, and then put your screw in. Let that sit overnight before you hang your door. Let it sit. Let it harden in there. That person will never have a problem with that pocket door again. Kind of the same scenario with cabinet doors. Open, close, open, close, open, close. Same thing. Okay, so let's grab our little jig. We're going to get this set up over here. Move that down here. I know my top is at that end now, so this end here, I got that 1/8 reveal. So we got that set. I got my hand on my hinge so it doesn't slide around. I'm going to center it on there. Pop a couple holes. Whoops. Let's get some screws in there. I'm going to watch that door if I... That's why you want to make sure your drills are all rubber. Sometimes you do get a little hit like that. You don't want to damage your door. If you damage it, you got to replace it, right? Good business. All right, she's nice. You can see we've got my nice little reveal. You can see the reveal here as well. Because basically that same reveal is going to be down this edge here too. And I'll show you that here in a minute. So now, get the rest of these in. Now these ones here, as you notice, I didn't put glue in there, and I usually don't. And for the reason why, sometimes you got to loosen off them screws, because sometimes installers, they don't get their cabinets exactly level, and if they're not exactly level, well, get your doors. You want to line up your doors, so you got to move sometimes the door up or down a little bit, right? So we're just gonna, we do it without the glue on that part there. I used to juggle screws pretty good, but I nipped off the end of my thumb a tiny little bit. Not a lot, just enough to make it a pain for grabbing my screws sometimes. All right, so we got that done. So now what you want to do is, we know this is the top, this is the bottom, but you're not going to see the top regardless, because that's up at the ceiling, and these 40-inch cabinets, usually they go up to the ceiling, or there'll be a cap that goes up here to finish to the ceiling. The bottom here, we want to keep this in nice shape, right? So we're going to set the cabinet so it's upside down, so we can do a final adjustment. Now you can see, what did I forget to do? I forgot to adjust the gap of that one door like I did to this side. But I got an eye for it, so I'm just going to over here, just a tad there, and a real smidge over here. There we go. That was just a little bit too much. Right in. So you can also take my stick back if I want. Stick my stick in there, and it'll tell me where it goes. There. Just makes it easier to have things lined up before you take your... Now you can see here on your cabinet door, you know, I'm kind of in a real small smidge here, and in a little bit over here, and I'm in here a small a smidge here, and this one here is a lot lesser on this side here, and I got a big gap here. Well, you don't want to have a big gap like that, right? So let's get these bumpers put on this door here. Should have put them on when I was laying down, but don't matter. Put one at the top and one at the bottom. So now I'll take this screwdriver here, and you want to see about a 1/16 of an inch, 1/16. So basically, after years of doing it, you can get a feel for it. It doesn't have to be perfect, because once the cabinets are installed, the installer is going to line them all up too, but you always want to make sure that they're in from the edge before you send them over there, about a 1/16 of an inch on each side. And all it is that one screw in there that I showed you earlier. There we go. That's pretty close. That's close enough now for the installer. So now this cabinet is ready to be installed and wrapped up. And usually what I do is I will keep one section of my white box, right, and I'll tape my edges. So that way when you ship it to the job, it slips over the face of that nicely, and then you can tape that front edge onto your cabinet to protect it while you ship it to your job. Thank you.